So I had that need, and I wanted to use a service like that. So I thought, well, if I got that, I'm going to set up an agency, and that's what I did. And I didn't think any more about it than that.
London Real, one of the coolest up-and-coming podcasts.
Summer in London is making one last try to come back. It's rare, it's almost October, but it's a beautiful sunny day here, and I believe in the rest of the world. I checked out my calendar. I think it's in the 20s in Rio de Janeiro and in the 20s in New York. So I'm glad my people there are enjoying the season as well. It was a brutal reminder that it rains in this country the last week or two, so today has been fabulous. I was actually out on Oxford Street walking around there, and it was awesome to be in London today. This week on the show, we have Ms. Haley Hill, and I've known Haley for a couple of years now, and I really like Haley because she goes out there and she does stuff. She started her own business, which was a UK dating agency many years ago, and you'll hear the way she tells it. It's fantastic. She just quit her job and decided to do it. She went out to nightclubs and gave business cards to men and women and asked if they were single. I mean, Jesus, if that's not a self-starter, I don't know what it is. She's got a great story, and then after many years, she sold the agency, and now she's written a book about it. And that process in itself has taken her, I think, 2 years. And so there's a lot of you watching that think about starting your own businesses. Maybe you've been watching Silicon Reel, or you want to self-publish or write your own book. And so I thought Haley's story was awesome, and her book launch is literally next week, so we'll be able to watch what it's like, what things go on Amazon and pre-orders, and she's got a launch party and everything. So I'm just excited to have her on the show. She talks real deal about what it was like, her fears, and what it's like to be a writer for the first time. And it's a scary process to go to. We all probably have a book in us, and as I said on the show, maybe that's where it should stay, but I'm glad she wrote her book. So hope you enjoy this episode. As you probably guessed, we are sponsored by the folks at X-Brain. I am loving their new whey protein powder. It's called Way Better, and it's all grass-fed, free-range, hormone-free cows. And if you've had whey protein in the past, and if you lift weights like I do, I'm sure you have, and not all of them are good. Not all of them feel so good. And a lot of times you'll have the whey, but you won't actually get it in your system. So these guys have come up with a product. They've researched it. It's organic. My buddy, a good friend and trainer, Matt Sullick, who you would have seen on the Jake Woods PTSD show, he loves it, the trainer to the stars. So you'll be seeing a lot more people trying it. If you want to check that out, the X-Brain guys have agreed to give a 15% discount to any London Reelers. During checkout, use the code LondonReel and you get 15% off any of their products. I really appreciate them giving back to us. So check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. That is for anyone in the UK or Europe. It was a really special week on the show for me. I'm pretty much exhausted. It was 3 shows in 3 days, and I guess it might not sound like a lot, but when you get all the prep and all the cameras, and it just it can be kind of exhausting. But we had Bruce Perry here on Wednesday, who you probably know from the show called Tribe, which was on BBC many years ago, and it was him going into this indigenous cultures and doing what they do, eating their food, drinking their dirty water, eating their psychedelics. And he was just like one of the first guys that was really on the scene and trying things out. And he was a really deep guy. He's in the process of making a movie called Quest, which is a feature film, unlike his normal TV series. And he's filming it now. He's been in Borneo. He went ayahuasca ceremonies in Colombia, I believe. And he's just on this quest trying to figure things out, and it was just special to have him in studio, and I really hope you guys enjoy. I think he's been on like a media blackout for like 2 years. I couldn't get any info on him, so we were really lucky to have him. I think he was only in town for a week or two. He had just come straight from some jungle, I think, and so I think he was just getting used to being back in the city. So hope you enjoy that. Our second sponsor are the folks at Bulletproof. As you know, I drink Bulletproof coffee every day. I'm pretty much addicted. I haven't walked into a Starbucks in 3 or 4 months, and I love it. It's coffee that doesn't have the mold and toxins that other coffee has, so you don't get that lousy crash after you have a coffee. Also, I mix in grass-fed butter. Yes, there's a theme here with the grass-fed, and brain octane oil, which is like the best of coconut oil. And I mix it up and I'm serving it to everybody and they're loving it. And if you want to check that out, please do. If you're in the UK and Europe, you can get it at Xbrain. And if you're in the US, you can go to upgradedself.com. Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof exec, he's got lots of other cool things going on. They got some charcoal pills coming out, which I think I'm going to start taking if I ever do, you know, eat some gluten or something that I don't want. So you can check those guys out too. Again, they support all of our madness, both Xbrain and Bulletproof, and they don't ever question what I do on this show. So yeah, show them a little love if you are loving the show. I would appreciate it, and so would they. And that's it. Today we had former MI5 spy who turned whistleblower and told what she didn't like, what was happening inside the intelligence services in Britain in the 90s. And she's a really intelligent woman. After the show, she went straight to the Ecuadorian embassy to meet with Julian Assange. So, you know, she's got juice, and she was really cool, extremely well-spoken, amazing interview with her. So that'll be up in the next week or so, and we'll just keep going and going. It's all business as usual here at London Real, having a lot of fun. If you want to help out, as usual, send me an email at brian@londonreal.tv. Follow us on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and the whole nine. And yeah, we're all very grateful here over at London Real for your support. And yeah, we actually had free runner Timothy Sheaf for the Bruce Perry show, and it was awesome seeing Timothy, man. That kid's got so much energy. It's not even funny. So there you go. Now I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Ms. Haley Hill, and please enjoy her story. And if you like it, check out her book. Okay, shall we do this, everyone?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Here we go. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. We are sponsored today by Bulletproof Coffee, which is the official drink of London Real. Thanks to Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof executive. We're all drinking Bulletproof out of our mugs, so thanks for that. Check them out at bulletproofexec.com. We're also sponsored by the folks at Xbrain. They've got a new whey protein out called Way Better. Very cool name. And it's all free-range, grass-fed, hormone-free cows and stuff, which is kind of what we drink in the Bulletproof, which is grass-fed. So definitely check them out at xbrain.co.uk. My co-host today is Colin Pyle, entrepreneur who comes to London via Toronto. Then you went to China and India. You've had some epic motorcycle rides. We can check you on Travel Channel, right? Is it still playing?
Yeah, the China one's on Travel Channel, and we're just negotiating the India ride to be played on Travel Channel.
Cool.
So,
I really want to see the India ride.
Yeah, it's looking pretty neat. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
God, sounds
much more colorful.
Oh, than the China ride. No, it's good. I watched your DVD on China. It's intense. And you also co-host Silicon Reel with me, our new hit series. I love saying that.
Yeah.
We just got picked up for a second season by ourselves. It highlights the technology scene here in London. It's for the people of basically the startup scene here, and it's lots of fun. We meet like crazy people every week, venture capitalists, people with ideas, young people, older people, and it's just like a lot of fun. And they're turning longer and longer now. They're turning into like London Real episodes. It's
trim that back.
Yeah, it's kind of dangerous. So definitely check that out. Thanks for doing double duty this week on both shows. Our guest today is Ms. Haley Hill, who in 2005 set up a personal dating service, which grew to be the biggest matchmaking agency in the UK.
It did. I have
Wow.
no idea how that happened.
I want to hear all about this. You then sold it, and you have written a novel called It's Got to Be Perfect,
Yep.
The Memoirs of a Modern Day Matchmaker. Haley knows why 85% of relationships fail. I want to get the secrets. And she's been a co-host of London Real before. She was here for our Chance UK episode about mentoring kids. I think it's called Mentoring Masters.
Yep.
But today you are in the hot seat.
I'm in the hot seat.
Welcome back to London Real.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. You know, we've had this book for a couple months because you've been writing your book.
I have been writing my book forever. I can't remember a time I wasn't writing it.
Yeah, but you've stuck with it, you know.
I have stuck with it. That's one thing I can say.
You know, a lot of people haven't done that, and you know, it's interesting because you know we have a big male audience here, and I was thinking about you today on the show, and a long time ago, about a year and a half ago, we had a guy on the show who was a pickup artist. You know, he taught guys how to go out and meet girls, and before he came on the show, myself and my former co-host Nick, we went out to Oxford Street street, and he taught us day game.
I watched that as well.
You watched that as well, and
I didn't see this.
Oh, really?
brilliant.
Yeah, I gotta check this
So
out.
we went out and stopped random girls on the street, and let's be honest, tried to pick them up.
With the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah, we were filming a bit, but they
Right.
didn't see the camera. We
Okay.
weren't really, we weren't miking ourselves, but he
Sure.
was just trying to show us a few pointers. He came back to the studio and broke down his version of basically male-female relationships, how he saw them. And it was one of our most controversial episodes.
It was, yeah.
It went to 10,000 views faster than any other show.
Wow.
And we had tons of comments, a lot of people angry, a lot of people mad, but it was a lot of men who
Right.
commented, which I thought was really strange. And a lot of men who...
For what he said or against?
Against. A lot of men were like, no,
Yeah.
it's not like that. I can't believe you say that. And women were chiming in too. But I always wanted kind of a female counterpoint to that episode. And I don't know if this is going to be it. But you have a really unique perspective. I've known you for a couple
Yeah.
years now. And I remember you told me that when you ran your agency, most of your job was managing expectations.
It was, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to what you were saying about the comments on the previous episode, I think it's very difficult to say the way men think or the way women think. I think
It's a generalization.
yeah, it's a complete generalization. And a man can say this is the way men think because this is the way I think, and I'm a man, therefore I can speak on behalf of the rest of the male population, where they can't. They can speak only on behalf of themselves. And it's the same me being a woman. I'm going to give my perspective. I can't give a woman's perspective, every woman on the planet. There'll be some women who don't agree with me or don't feel the same way I do. However, I can give a perspective of all the single people I've met, and I've met thousands of them. And
Wow.
personally interviewed thousands of single women and single men. So I can just give my sort of interpretation of what they said.
Okay, well, I want to hear about that. First of all, how did this start? You had a regular day job. You were,
I was a
professional.
pharmacist.
And yeah, so how did you go from that to being an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and then into dating?
Yeah,
agency?
I was quite naive, really. I
That's
was
the best business people are.
It was completely naive.
Can't be afraid of what you don't know, right?
Absolutely. So I was a pharmacist, and I'd done a degree in pharmacy, and pretty much the only job you can do, having done a degree in pharmacy, is to be a pharmacist, which was great. But I didn't really think that through. I just thought that's a good degree to do. And then I ended up in a job I wasn't really enjoying. I moved around. I did retail pharmacy, hospital pharmacy. I did writing and editing for Pharmaceutical Journal, and management for the NHS. And I was like, that's it. I need to get out of pharmacy. It's not for me. And at the same time, I was single. And I felt a need for a service like the one I created. And I think that's what a lot of people do in the setup businesses. The need is there. There's personal need first, and then they just sort of assume that everyone else a lot of other people must have that need if they have that need. And that's where my naivety came in. But
You said you had that need
fortunately-
because dating wasn't going.
Yeah, well-
is dating ever going as well as people want it to?
No, I think, well, again, it's really hard to put yourself back in the position, back in time, how I felt then. But as I remember, I think I believed that I hadn't met the right man. That's the only reason I didn't have this perfect relationship, because I hadn't yet met my soulmate. And the way I could meet my soulmate would be not setting up a dating agency, but having a dating service where I would be able to meet men of the type that I was looking for at the time.
Okay, so you had multiple motives. You wanted to set up a business and meet a man?
Yeah.
Setting up a business allows you to cherry pick the best ones.
No,
is
that wasn't the reason. The reason is I had that need, and I wanted to use a service like that. So I thought, well, if I got that, I'm going to set up an agency, and that's what I did. And I didn't think any more about it than that. I didn't. I just thought that's what I'm going to do, and I quit my job, and I didn't. I remember sitting in my flat, Googling how to set up a business. I hadn't read any books. I hadn't done any research whatsoever. I thought, I'll just do this.
That's the best entrepreneur. So how did it go at first? Did you hit barriers, or was it just like immediate success? Well, not immediate, but...
Yeah, it went much, I was lucky. It went much better than it could have done. I got some business cards printed up, and I decided that I was going to go headhunt my first member. So I was quite proactive. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any investment. I didn't have any savings. So I couldn't waste any money on advertising. So that was probably a blessing in disguise. So I had business cards printed up, and I just went to all the bars and clubs in London and just asked people if they were single.
Wow, that is like grassroots.
And then, so what would happen then? So
Well, some people thought I was a bit weird.
so they would take your
They
card.
would take my card and then look at it. And then some of them would email me. And actually, the conversion rate was quite high, surprisingly high.
Would you approach men and women?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you envision like a certain type of dating service? Did you want to have a premium service? Or I think you mentioned in one of your blogs that I read, you wanted someone who screened the candidates, so you didn't meet creepy people or people lying about their pictures or their relationship status.
Exactly, because I tried online dating. It was back in 2005, so I was an early adopter. So it wasn't as mainstream as it is now, and therefore I didn't think for a second that people might lie on their profile. Whereas we all know now that people lie on the dating profiles, but I didn't think then that people would. So I was going to go meet a 6'2" entrepreneur. I was expecting to meet a 6'2" entrepreneur, and I wasn't obviously met with the person that was on the profile, someone completely different. So that's why I quite like the idea of somebody screening them, somebody independent. So if you know who you're going to meet then. You know that if they say they've got a good sense of humour, then that person's met them and thinks that they're quite funny. Or
Okay, so you screened everyone.
Screened everyone.
Were most people
as much as you can.
What they told you they would be when you met them?
But when I was setting up my agency.
Yeah, I mean, like beforehand, did they say I'm this person or?
Yeah, I mean, oh God, we can go deeper into that later on. But I think sort of visually you can verify some criteria, and then you listen to what people say and what people tell you. But then that's when I started learning over years of being a matchmaker that people tell you not what they think you want to hear. They describe themselves in a way they would like to be rather than the way they actually are.
Okay.
And I did that myself.
And what was the kind of the pinnacle of your business as far as when it kind of peaked, and when did you realize you wanted to sell it? Because that's a big move. A lot of entrepreneurs won't sell their baby. They don't know what they're going to do next.
I know. Well, I do miss it, but it was absolutely the right time to sell. So I'd grown it in London, and then I franchised. So I'd piloted a franchise in Manchester, and then we had I think 3 franchise sales that were going to go through in other cities in the UK. And I just thought, well, the growth year on year is a good time to sell. And I was pregnant with twins.
Good timing.
So I thought, I'm not sure how well I could do it multitasking that one. And also I think, personally as well, because I set it up being like one of my clients with the same needs as them, then by the time I was sort of married and pregnant, it wasn't I didn't have the same needs. I just sort of lost touch with the single scene a little bit, I think. Because we used to do lots of events. We did tons of parties and holidays and things like that. And being able to really relate to the client in the first stages, then before I suppose I lost touch with it.
Okay. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that. They start out and you're excited for the first few years, and then, you're kind of faking it a little bit when you come to work. Still excited about that same idea. So did you arrange people that got married? Did you see them have kids?
Yes.
Did you see anyone kill their partner?
No.
Okay. I just wondered, what were the extremes?
No, there were a few that no.
Okay.
God, no. Yeah.
Are you liable?
Restraining orders?
I know. Am I? I know. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
Okay. Was it
talk about the happy story.
Did you have a high success rate? Is that something you judged
well,
yourself on?
I mean, success rate. This is what a lot of people used to ask when they joined as well, and it's really hard because I like statistics, but I found that really hard. If you can double somebody's chances of finding somebody, but if somebody's got a 1% chance of finding somebody that year, if you double it to 2%, you've still got 98% customer dissatisfaction for that sort of that group of people. So, but then the success rate depended on the person. If you had somebody who was very self-aware and reasonably eligible in sort of the conventional sense, then they would be matched off straight away if they were matched with somebody similar.
Okay.
Very quickly.
What was your typical female client, and also what was your most difficult female client? I remember you telling me some stories that, again, you had to manage their expectations.
Yeah.
I guess for men and women, especially maybe in professionals, because they've had a lot of success in their life. Yeah. They've got the car, the flat, or the job, and now they want the perfect guy, the perfect girl, and they don't exist.
The hardest thing is, you can understand why people want these things, and when you're trying to deliver a service, it's like you want to say to people, I don't make the rules. I'm really sorry that it should be the case. It should be that women should be able to focus on their careers, get to 35, and then want to settle down and find a man who's 35, same age as them, give or take a couple of years, and equally successful, if not more than them. That should be the case. That should be right. But it's not.
Says who?
We should. The women, I suppose. You think, why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
But that's not the case. So then there was a lot of angry women, and I understand that. So women around 35 who wanted to meet a 35-year-old man. And it's unfair. It's unfair that the 35-year-old man can then date a 27-year-old girl. It's not fair.
Okay, so they.
But it's the way it is, and I couldn't do anything about it. So that's when the sort of the customer satisfaction became a bit challenging.
But that in the underlying sort of thing you're saying, there's a 27-year-old girl is better than a 35-year-old
No,
girl?
not at all.
No, I know, but so
Yeah.
so then what's wrong with the 35-year-old?
You're a man. You
Yeah.
should be able to answer that one.
No, I know. I don't. I disagree. I don't think. A 35-year-old girl who's lived and who has experiences and conversation and all that sort of stuff is great.
I think so. Yeah, I think
right.
everything being equal.
Sure.
I think that make that very clear.
Yeah.
Everything being equal.
But most men actually, they would be like, no, I'll go date a 23-year-old.
I think. I mean, I'm just second guessing them really here, but.
But you would know. You've seen this.
Yeah, I would say it's the pressure.
Sure.
If a man wants to date a woman and he's thinking if he wants to get married and have a family,
Right.
he doesn't make the decision very quickly. He doesn't want to make that decision. Think, oh God, shit, she's 35.
Sure.
I've got to really start thinking about this quickly. I want to get to know a girl and have fun, and I'm in no hurry, and I don't want that pressure. So it's nothing that the woman was doing wrong. It was just I think that the man felt a bit of extra pressure.
You said on your website, 28 is the most eligible age for women. By 35, she'll have only a 30% chance of marriage.
I know.
Tell us what that means.
A 30% chance of marriage.
She's run the numbers, thousands.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you've seen the world, and I've read a lot about your articles. But can you kind of explain what you saw? I mean, in one thing you said, like, you're 28, you're a female, you've been there before, you're going out, you're choosing not that guy, not the scrawny guy in IT, not that guy. And then you wake up and you're 34, 35, and you're like, okay, now I want to start a family. And then the guy is now no longer interested in you; he's interested in you 5 years ago.
Yes, there's a big power shift.
Can you explain that shift to people like Colin who won't admit?
Yeah.
So I've been married for quite some time. My high school. So
I've been off the market.
I've been off the market for a long time. So.
Yeah, I mean, when women are young, we have all the power. I know this is quite a controversial thing to say, but I think a young man versus young woman, you're 18-year-old girl and 18-year-old boy. An 18-year-old boy is full of hormones, wants to have sex. An 18-year-old girl is desirable. Sure. By most, for most men, I think, generally. And then she has to she's being chased and being pursued, and then she gets older, and then she gets more intelligent, more educated, and she becomes more attractive and more appealing, and on every level, then physically as well. And then and the men start coming into their own when they get older as well. They sort of fill out a little bit.
Get more mature, mentally fill out.
The more success, more interesting to speak to, more intelligent, more eligible, I suppose. Again, this is in a general conventional sense, as extreme as opposites all the time. But yeah, so when the women start having the social pressure, and it is a social pressure, I think. I don't think it's an individual decision, but I think it's a social pressure for women to settle down and have children. They start thinking about it and putting pressure on themselves and putting pressure on their relationships. Whether they know they're doing it or not, I think they definitely do it. And then I don't know whether that sort of keenness comes across, or and also the men then know that they're more appealing to the younger women as well, then they've got a bit more power than they had before. So they're no longer, the men are in demand rather than the women. This is sort of peer.
Right. So can you? I mean, so do you try, like in your book, for example, do you try to give advice to the 30-year-old woman, and to say now is the time to pursue your options and make the decision now, or can a 30-year-old woman get advice from anyone older, or is it a phase you have to pass through?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the best thing to do is just try and as much as you can. I think it's very difficult, but try and ignore all that social pressure, because I think if you can do that, then part of the problem's gone. Because I don't necessarily think it's that the woman is 35. I think it's that pressure is making her more concerned about whether she should be married. Her friends are getting married, and it comes across. And I think that sometimes puts men off.
Okay, so
is the pressure not sort of derived for women just from biology?
It could be.
Right. So I want to have kids. I'm 35.
It's time to get going.
I think it could be, but I think if you look at when a woman's most fertile, her drive should then be at the highest, shouldn't it? And women are most fertile when they're much younger. So I could see that, but I think it's much more of society pressure than it is a
Right.
sort of instinctive drive, I would say.
Were you constantly managing expectations when you were matchmaking? Were you constantly like trying to talk these women into meeting these men and vice versa because their expectations were here and the reality was here? I mean, like, what was the hardest part of your job?
But then who wants to settle? Do you want to tell someone to settle? The whole point they're there. I mean, I think it's so difficult. Telling someone it's not my place to tell someone they should settle. And why should they? Why should they, settle with someone that they don't feel completely, fully, in a romantic love for? Should they talk themselves into a relationship? But this is the challenge I had, because I see on paper the problems, but then you can't tell somebody to settle.
Okay, but you were the most successful dating agency, so you must have done something right.
Well, what I used to do is, what I found the best thing to do was why do we want all these things? Let's think about why we all want a relationship. Because a lot of the time I don't think we really think why.
This is a good question.
So why do we want this person, this ideal perfect man or this ideal perfect woman? And why do we want this perfect relationship?
To show off to your friends and parents.
Yeah, what's the real reason? And
Tell us what it is.
yeah, and also about, why do some people want to be rich? People think, well, I want to be rich. Why? Because it's going to make me happy, is it? So why do I want the 6'2" human rights lawyer with a six-pack? Why? Why? Really think about it. What am I going to do with that guy? He's going to be working out every weekend. I don't want to work out every weekend.
Yeah,
why? So really,
point.
why do you want this person?
And so what's the answer to that?
It's to find out what more about yourself. So, and this is what I was saying about being self-aware. Find out what it is. If you're in a place in your life, you understand what really makes you happy and who you really are. And you're not just trying to live somebody else's life and live this life that is the glossy brochure of happy ever after. This is the lifestyle I'm supposed to be living with this perfect partner. This is how I'm supposed to look. This is the place I'm supposed to go. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to talk. And this is the person that I should share this sort of, glossy brochure happy ever after with. If people actually stop and think, well, what actually makes me happy? What do I enjoy doing? It was like my first dating profile when I started online dating. I wrote that I enjoyed jazz music because I thought that sounded cool.
Right.
I don't know jazz music.
Okay, so you were trying to be appealing.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to be somebody that I thought I should be rather than who I actually was. And now I'm older, I've learned that I want to be out walking my dog and my welly boots in the rain. I love that. I would live in the country with 20 dogs. At the time when I was looking for a relationship, I thought I wanted to live in a penthouse flat overlooking the Thames.
So did you conclude a lot of times people weren't looking for that perfect mate, but they were actually looking for their own happiness, and they thought it would come in the pair of Louboutins, the new house, or the new boyfriend? Is that just a manifestation of their happiness?
Yeah, it's a sort of lifestyle. Dating's aspirational. And I don't think dating should be aspirational, but it seems to have become aspirational.
Maybe that's like a London thing. Maybe that's an urban big
I
city
think so.
thing too.
I think you're absolutely right. I think so, definitely. There's huge cultural variations. I'm speaking purely from London and the other cities in the UK. But also, in London, it's very international. I'd probably say 20% of our members were from the UK. So we had a lot of different nationalities.
So I'm going to guess what people wanted. Well. So the guy comes in, what does he want? He wants a girl that will probably impress his friends and his parents, that he'll really like and get along with, but who's, stunning and all these other things, and wants to do the things he wants to do. I'm guessing. And then the woman wants the man that she can tell her friends about, who's the human rights lawyer, who's 6'2" with a six-pack, and he can't wait to have kids. Yeah. And he wants me to do whatever I want to do.
Yes.
But a lot of it's social. Yeah, supports me. But a lot of it is social and peer pressure.
It is. And it's also, I think also we're conditioned on how this relationship should be. And our natural state is at odds with the sort of social expectations of relationships. We expect. So as a woman speaking from a female's perspective, obviously not all women think this way, but a lot of them do. Our ideal scenario is this perfect guy, and he will behave perfectly the entire time he's with us. He won't ever look at another girl, not at all, but he will be, obsessively attractive to us, which is why 50 Shades of Grey, I think, was so much of a fantasy for so many women, because this man wanted to possess this woman. He loved her, and he was so attracted to her and only her. This is how a lot of women would like it. It's an ideal scenario.
Okay. I didn't read the whole book. So.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I didn't know he was that dedicated, but
he was.
I'm waiting for the movie.
It's coming up. Michael Fassbender. So that's important to a woman, is fidelity, and that's like, but it's almost like contrasting thing, because if he's this amazing, desirable man, then he will be desired by others.
Yeah, and it's not only that. I mean, it's not only sort of the fidelity thing. It's that just behaving perfectly all the times, like you were saying, understands women's emotions and sort of is everything that she needs, fulfills her.
Okay.
And when most of the time we can't fulfill ourselves, so how can we expect somebody to fulfill us? And I think that's where the disappointment comes. And this is where the frustration comes, because we date men who are human and they don't live up to the expectations. And a lot of women are very disappointed. And it is a bit of a letdown, because you were sort of sold this false dream of how it should be.
By pop culture, entertainment.
I don't know. Yeah, it must be.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's all very subtle, like branding kind of things that you grow up with, whether it's the Prince Charming or the princess. That's the same kind of thing. I had a 4-year relationship when I was in New York, and it got all messed up at the end, and she left me. And I realized at the end of the day that I didn't actually love myself at that time, and it's impossible for someone to love you when you don't love yourself. And just to be very candid here, and it's hard to be happy when you're not happy with yourself.
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
I think ultimately a lot of these pursuits we have, whether it's to be rich or to have the perfect husband or to have the Porsches, you know, we're trying to project our happiness outward when a lot of what we talk about on London Real is sorting out your inward and your consciousness and all that stuff. But it's weird to hear you say that you've witnessed this kind of firsthand.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you say to, I mean, what can you say to people? I used to just try and help them think about why they wanted things. We used to use NLP quite a lot, which was helpful. Just to get to the bottom of why people wanted it, why it was important to them.
Should have gone straight to the psychedelics, you know.
I know.
Cut through the chase.
Like, you know, being aspirational, it's always, you have a goal somewhere that you have to go towards. So that's like, you know, a lot of people, it's always, I want to be richer, I want to have a nicer car. And it's just because, they can't necessarily deal with what they actually want, what will actually make them happy. And chasing something, always chasing something, makes a lot of people happy. And then they get there, and it's just like, fuck. Then they find something else, right?
Where is this happiness? And the happiness isn't, I don't, this is my personal opinion, I don't think happiness is something you can get. It's not something you can get. Like a perfect relationship isn't something you could attain and keep hold of. I think that's why people worry in relationships, because they get this good thing and they want to keep hold of it, they want to control it. And you can't, because happiness comes and goes. Like the relationship is a dynamic. You as a person are changing always, and your partner's always changing, and the environment you're in is always changing, and it's not something you can get and keep. I think it causes a lot of problems in relationships where people they've got something good and they want to keep it, and they're terrified of losing it, and it is something you can't control. You've just got it's a leap of faith.
Is monogamy the way? I mean, you were on the front lines, and you're in a relationship too. Obviously, you're married, 2 children.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got to see it all happen in real time, right in front of your face. Is there something inherently flawed with monogamy, or should it be the way to work?
Oh, what type of monogamy? Social monogamy, sexual monogamy, genetic monogamy, serial monogamy. I mean, there's like monogamy. I suppose we tend to think of as sexual monogamy. And what is that? So not having sexual intercourse with somebody else, or what about sexual thoughts? Where's the line drawn? Where do you draw the line? For some people, it's unacceptable for their partner to imagine having sex with somebody else. And for some people, it's acceptable for them to have sex with somebody else. So I think it's your own personal boundary. But
you dodging my question.
Am I?
I don't know. So you're saying
there's a lot of types of monogamy.
To each his own when it comes to that.
I think any relationship, you just got to find out what works for you. I think it's very hurtful. I think that sexual jealousy is as strong a drive as I think people to have extramarital sex, even more so sometimes. So I think naturally we, particularly men in studies shows, are more driven to want to have sex with lots of women, and being in love with somebody or in a relationship with somebody doesn't stop that. But they do have the ability to suppress it, and that's only, I think, surveys they've done, although they're not particularly accurate, it's about 20% of men admit to being unfaithful in marriage. So that's not that many, considering.
I always hear that like men are more sexual, and then people say, no, women are more sexual, and then everyone's always arguing back and forth. Then think about it more. They think about it more. I mean,
the testosterone is the main driver of sex drive. It's the main sex drive hormone, and it's much higher in men generally than women. But there is variation.
Okay. It all gets crazy.
But there's so much. It's just I don't think you can simplify it. I think monogamy works well in our society. I think it is a good thing, and But I do think there's a lot of natural drives there that are at odds with how our social structure is. And I think that causes a few issues in relationships.
Would you ever go back to doing dating agency, or are you just done with that?
Yeah, I miss it. But I don't think
Must
I
be
would.
exciting, right?
It's really exciting. It's really nice to meet lots of different people and to ask them how they feel and find out about them. I love that. I'm a nosy person, so I like asking questions.
Very gossipy thing.
It's really, why did your last relationship end? How did you feel about that? I love all that. I mean, that's the perfect job for me.
I try to never set up friends with other friends because it's just like, it seems like a train wreck about to happen, because then it's like, she's going to ask her friend, how's it going? You're going to ask, and then it's like you're up in their business, and it's just like, you know what, just stay away, because it's all going to come to a wreck. Maybe.
I think not too many positive things happen from setting up two good friends.
But if it happens, how nice! It's a lovely feeling. It's really lovely when you do get an update on Facebook, or baby's been born, and it's really nice. It's really, really nice.
It's interesting when you talk about like what makes people happy, because like one of the things I used to do in the city when I worked there as a broker is I'd get to know these clients over years and years and years, and then I would be out to dinner with them, and I could sit them and look at them across the table, and I'd be like, why are you doing this? Why do you come in every day? Why do you bust your ass at work? And they could easily say, just it's the money, I want more money. And then like at the end of the meal, I could be like, why are you really doing it? And like sooner or later, we would dig down and find out it was to get their dad to finally respect them. Or it'd be to get their peers from high school who always used to beat them up to finally give them some cred. Or in their own mind, they could be like, look what I did. I now own a house or something. But it was ultimately all about social relations was the reason they wanted that money. And I wonder if the same isn't about relationships.
Yeah, I mean, it's we all want sort of intimacy, and we want somebody to love us and somebody to love. I think that's never going to change.
It's even trickier with relationships, man. So
it is, and the more hurt we get, the more defenses we put up, and it's complicated. I mean, by the time if you're trying to match somebody who's been divorced and had quite a few relationships and been hurt, it's really difficult to help them get over that, and not be bitter or not bring baggage into new relationships, and try and see that person as somebody new and not. You
must be good at giving advice to friends.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I like to think maybe.
So how did the book come about? I mean, you're not a writer by trade.
No.
And I mean, this is quite an endeavor. A lot of people talk about writing a book.
Yes.
Because someone says that everyone has a book in them, but some people it should
stay
stay there. I'm not saying this about your book.
No,
I know you've been working on it hard, and it's hard to stay motivated every day to do it.
Yeah.
It's not fictionalized, but it's told from the point of view of not you, of a character.
Yeah, it's fictionalized. I fictionalized it in the end.
Tell us about why you did the book and why tell it that way.
Well, as soon as I sold the agency, I just felt like I hadn't let it go, and I had so much to tell. And I didn't want it to leave my mind not documented. I'd met so many interesting people. I'd heard so many different perspectives. I'd watched relationships grow, relationships fail, and I had so much I wanted to put down on paper. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I don't really want to write a self-help book. I don't really like that sort of style of writing. And I thought I'm just going to write, and I just wrote, and it just turned out being quite sort of humorous and quite lots of dialogue, lots of drama. Because I thought, in writing they say you should show and not tell. And I thought, well, if I can show modern day dating rather than telling people how it is and how it should be, just to show and demonstrate it, I think it'd be much more effective. I think it would sort of grip people more. So I wrote 10 drafts.
Wow.
And then I rewrote quite a lot of it again, and I rewrote the first 2 chapters, and then I rewrote the final chapter.
What was the initial feedback, and how did you deal with it?
The initial feedback was quite good, actually. I was surprised. I sent it off. I thought I'd do the traditional route of publishing. I sent it off to agents. I didn't do the printing it out, double line spacing, and I didn't do any of that. I just spammed them and asked them if they wanted to read it, and they said yes. So
that's good.
Yeah, I sent it in, and then I had some agents that were really interested, and I picked one. She's really, really nice, and sent it through some publishers, and that took forever. It's such a slow process. And when you've been writing something, you just want to get it out there. You don't want to sit and wait I mean, it's a hideous experience waiting. So I was really frustrated by the whole thing. And then they really liked it, but the big publishers have to then pitch it in-house. So the commissioning editor doesn't select it. They have to then pitch it in-house with the whole team, and then they decide. And for whatever reason, they all said no. There were different reasons. Some of them said the writing wasn't strong enough. Some of them said that it's too hard. It was non-fiction at this time, actually. It's too hard to create bestsellers in women's non-fiction, commercial women's non-fiction. Blah, 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 whatever the reason. And then I thought, okay, I can rewrite it. This is the first draft that went out. And then I rewrote it 10 times after that.
Wow. And this is a couple years now in the process.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
I know. It's got to be perfect.
So that's the name of the book. And like, so walk, you know, if you sell me the book, I mean, like, what am I going to get there? Am I going to get those juicy stories about what's happening?
Yeah.
Is it like this subtle kind of, like you said, kind of showing people
Yeah, it's not
their
subtle
own
though.
selves?
It's quite like in your face showing people.
Oh, okay. So
it's
like,
it's one of the things that is easier to write than to actually say. So it's a bit, it's I put it in a sort of chick lit category, but it's not really chick lit. But that's, I think, the audience that would enjoy it. Chick lit is a little bit more cupcake and, you know.
What is the definition of chick lit? As in
I don't know. I mean, it's
chicks literature.
Yeah, I think it does downplay a lot of very good female writers calling it chick lit, but
Is that those like romance novels?
yeah,
with
it's
the
sort of, well, I'll
pictures?
give you a sort of typical chick lit story. Will be a woman who decides to give up her career and go and set up a cupcake shop in the country, and then some dashingly good-looking but evil property developer comes in the country and wants to
I love it. Let's go.
bulldoze her cupcake shop, but she hates him and he hates her, and they fall in love, and then they set up a cupcake company together, and she's probably got a shoe addiction or something.
They get slaughtered at the end.
At the end.
Everyone's gonna hate me now. No, that's why it's not that. It's not that.
Okay.
But it is
Not that simple.
No, it's. I think the book covers issues that people don't want to talk about, but we all can relate to.
Such as?
Such as how do women feel when they find their boyfriend's been looking at porn?
How do they feel?
That was nasty stare.
If you're listening to us on iTunes,
It just got cold in here.
about minute 40 on YouTube,
It depends what kind, actually.
you should do movies. Okay, so you address that.
Yeah,
And
because it's a massive issue for women now. I mean,
Is it?
It is,
Okay.
yeah, and we don't like it. We might pretend it's okay and we're cool and yeah, it's fine. We don't like it. Why would we?
Right.
Why would we like the idea of a man looking at a woman who's vastly more attractive, sexually attractive than we are, rather than wanting to be with us? Why would we like that? We know we don't.
Yeah, and you on one of your blogs, you were like, yeah, what am I supposed to go along and say, yeah, that's great. Just like I should go along to the strip club and we can get a couple's dance while some 18-year-old Estonian with double Ds shakes around. I'm like, no, I don't fucking want to do that. That's why you're a great writer, because she lets it all out. So you're like, no, we don't want to do that.
No, we
it's
don't.
Just not that
but
cool.
we feel that we should say it's,
Right.
yeah.
Especially these
yeah,
days, that's
we're
the hip
liberal
thing to
and
do,
it is,
and
but
we're
it's
liberal.
not. I don't like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Stick to your guns.
But
Okay.
do you think like society's pushing more and more women to just sort of do what is on TV, or if it's Miley Cyrus twerking or whatever that is?
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to porn. I think porn's a big issue in relationships. I think for the younger generation, because I think for the older generation, they weren't sort of forming their sexual identity with porn around. I think now the boys and girls now are, and I think it hugely influences their interaction in a relationship.
Crazy. I mean, there's been no studies, but I think they've talked about how like people mimic porn in the way they have sex, because it's like that's the way they're doing it. It's subconscious.
But it's
like,
just
that's
as damaging to men as it is to women. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. They think, oh, men are just enjoying themselves, and it's subjugating women, it's dehumanizing them, and it's damaging for them. But it's also just as damaging for men. The way that the industry leads them into, because they get desensitized from conventional porn, and then they go into sort of more violent porn, and it's all very contrived and quite scary and worrying. But it is very damaging to men, because they then no longer, sometimes extreme cases, can't relate to women.
Normally.
So this book isn't just about dating; it's about women dealing with this in their relationships.
All the big issues in relationships,
What
but in
else?
a funny way, in a funny, light-hearted way. But it's not like some big feminist rant. Certainly not.
What
It's,
else? What else is in there?
What else is in there? Oh, you have to read it.
Okay.
Embarrassing incidents, things. Because people used to call me up after a date and tell me everything, and I was so surprised, because especially this being England, you think people would be a little bit shy and a bit retiring, but because I was their matchmaker, for some reason they just let it all out. They would call me up after the date and tell me exactly what went on. I mean, this is Monday morning. Why? I don't want to hear this.
And then, too much info? That
way
kind of thing?
too much info.
Okay, and going forward
way
too
too
fast.
much. But yeah, interesting.
See, you enjoy that. Yeah.
Did you
stop? Keep going.
Monday morning.
Monday morning's a bit much.
That's a bit rough. Did you have to worry about confidentiality because you must have had some high-profile clients, wealthy or politics or that kind of thing? Did you change names? Did you alter stories?
Yeah, well, that's why I fictionalized it in the end because I didn't want my clients thinking that their private lives were going to be downloadable from Amazon. It's not fair on them, and I just created characters that were a combination blend of different people that I'd known and sort of scenarios that were a combination of blend of different scenarios. And the main character is not me either.
But she's a lot like you.
She's a lot like me, yeah, but she's not me.
Okay. So walk us through, there's so many people that email me all the time that have books and they want to get published. They don't know whether they should self-publish. You've got a book that you're releasing. You've got another one for the India ride. Yeah. So everyone is asking these questions and you are now doing it. I mean, your order is, you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. Is that right? And it's going to go for sale
24th of September.
24th of September.
Launch.
And you can get that at amazon.co.uk or
amazon.co.uk.
Okay. Yeah. And worst case, you better write her a review and go and check it out. But how did you publish? Did you need backing from a major agency? I mean, you researched the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I just got fed up with waiting with the big publishing houses.
Okay.
And then there was going to be pitched to a second round of publishers. And I just thought, I'm just going to do this myself. And I'd spoken to quite a few other authors. So I just reached out to people that had written books that I admired, respected, and asked them. And people are really helpful if you ask them. You think, why would they want to talk to me? But they're really helpful. And common consensus was just do it yourself. Because if you're a first-time author anyway, even if you get a publishing contract, they don't have much marketing budget to put behind you. Yeah. So you can really much have to do your own marketing anyway. So why not have total control? And you can pick what cover you have. Otherwise, you can't pick what book cover you have or anything. And the editors might tell you to change this or change that, and you could lose, I think, the realness of the story, I think, sometimes because they might want to make it a little bit more commercial. Because there's some things in the book I think could potentially offend some people.
That's good, I think.
It's a good thing.
So you are self-publishing, so you have someone that is going to help you publish, and
I've sort of done a halfway house. It's a company called Troubadour Publishing, and they will sort of make it. They arrange an external copy edit, proofread, and everything like that. So it's publishing standard. So it's good enough quality, and same with the printing as well. Okay. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that's what I decided to do.
It's interesting because this is your first book, and we had Howard Marks sitting there, and he's had a whole storied history. He's was a crazy story as a drug smuggler. He had a book called Mr. Nice that I read when I first got to England in the late 90s, and he's writing fiction now, and he was telling me, he's like, Brian, I'm writing 3 books. He's like, because I know the first one isn't probably going to necessarily sell, but maybe the second and third as part of the trilogy will finally get it selling. And I mean, this is Howard Marks, the guy that does the one-man shows and all this stuff. And he's telling me how hard it is to publish. How much of you is thinking, okay, this is the one to kind of get my name out there, but I'm thinking book 3, 4, 5 is where...
Yeah, I should be thinking that way, but I'm not.
You can't think
and
that way.
And he's right.
Though.
He's absolutely right, because everything I've read is that's the way to go. And even like free downloads as Lost Leaders to sell next in the trilogy, but I didn't write it to become a bestseller. I wrote it because I had a story and I wanted to write it. And I don't know if I have another one. I have, it's all in that one. And I don't know. I didn't write it to sell it quickly and easily. I wrote it. And again, with setting up the business, I didn't think it through. Right. Had I thought it through, there would be a much better or more cost-effective way of spending my time for the last 2 years.
But I think readers and listeners and anybody who consumes a podcast or a documentary, they know what's real and what's not real. Yeah. And I think if this was just a part one of your marketing strategy, people would know. And if you held back and did like part 1 and 2 and 3 coming next. Yeah.
No, it's part 1. Okay. There we go.
Full stop.
Full stop.
That's cool. Well, I'm really curious how this goes because we have a lot of people, like I said, that talk about writing books, but I've never seen the process and then the launch date and all that stuff. And you're very good at doing press. You've got people to write about you.
Yes, yeah. I learned that when I was running the agency. I think we pretty much built it on PR. We never did any advertising or anything. So word of mouth and PR was the main.
And you're not shy to talk real about PR, so let's talk Grazia
not.
magazine.
Oh yeah.
I've got to talk about this. So Haley was featured in Grazia magazine, which is a big magazine here in London or in England or
UK. Yeah.
It's good. Who's it for? Professional women, right? It's got a big circulation.
Like 25 to 35, I suppose, yeah.
Right. And to them, you talked about your agency in your book, and you came out of the closet, and I'm quoting you. You said, for 5 years, I knocked back well over 12 bottles of wine in a week.
Yeah.
It eased your nerves. You were in the business where you were meeting people having wine to kind of check them out. You was like, it never affected my ability to do my job professionally, but the thought of slipping back to normality was unthinkable.
Yeah.
What happened? What was that all about?
Well, I did drink a lot. I didn't drink 12 bottles a week, but that's journalist for you.
Yeah, there you go.
That would have been quite impressive. But no, I could drink a lot. I mean, I probably could do a bottle a day, which is still, I think, functioning alcoholic category, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, the nature of the job was, it was in a private members club. It had a bar, and I wanted to sit there with the clients and have a drink with them, probably because I was nervous to meet them, because I'd never interviewed somebody before. I mean, it's quite a big responsibility. They're expecting you to find their future partner. So I was probably a bit uncomfortable, a bit nervous about my ability to be able to do that and ask the right questions and instill confidence in people that I was the right person to do it for them. So I think that, and then it just became habit almost. It was normal. Everyone was having business meetings in there drinking. I mean, you got there, the barman came up and said, "What do you want to drink?" You wouldn't say a cup of tea.
I mean, we're both, we grew up in different countries. And so, I don't know what your feelings were. When I got to London, when I was in the city, it was a normal thing to have wine at lunch.
Yeah.
You go to the pub after work. I mean, it's a culture where living and drinking is almost, woven together in a way.
It's part of the glamorous. It was, I mean, again, it was quite a few years ago. It's very glamorous. I'm a woman, I'm running my own business and I'm independent and I'm having a glass of, wine. It's, white Rioja. I sort of know my grapes. Check me out.
Right. It's like an expression of your individuality. What do you think?
I think it's also so much to do with what you do for a living, right? Like coming from I was in the finance world for quite some time, and it's, it's common to sort of take off a good afternoon and just knock back a lot of drinks.
And that's what I did every afternoon. That was my office. I did all the matchmaking. I used to get up early, have coffee, do all my matchmaking from home in my flat, and then I'd go in, I'd meet probably 4 people a day on average. So I'd have 4 consultations. They could last anything from 1 hour, probably 1.5 hours. If it's 4, maybe if it's 3, it would just last longer. So the time period was still the same. And then afterwards, I'd go out headhunting. I had other consultants. So I had a team of consultants that worked with me, and they were all girls. And we just had a great time. We just get a big plate of chips, another bottle of wine, talk about our matches, and we were working. And then we'd go out headhunting in bars, still drinking. So yeah, it's just it was a way of life. It was,
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, in finance and probably in a lot of businesses, I know publishing and journalists do the same thing. I mean, as a broker at ICAP, our job was basically a professional alcoholic. I mean, you're supposed to be out 4 nights a week, getting your clients jacked up. If it's only alcohol, then I guess you're doing good because anything they want to do is basically what your job is. So the lines get really blurred. Is it possible to continue this? Do you think it's possible to be functional and continue doing that? Could you have done that for 10 years?
No, I don't think so. No.
Sooner or later, catch up to you.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think I could do it at the time, and it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. For quite a while,
was there a point where you're just like, this is getting out of control, or this is not what I want to do?
Yeah, I think it naturally came to an end, which was quite lucky.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Because I'd sort of settled down a bit more, and I sold the business, and then started trying for children, and all these things you start thinking about what you've done to your body, because you get away with it when you're younger. There's no visible signs of it. You're young, you still look the same. You don't wake up looking super rough. You can bounce back from a hangover. When you get old, when you start getting into your 30s, I'm 36 now. If I have a heavy night, it's all over my face the next day. It's frightening. So you can see the impact. You can see the physical impact, and you can feel it more. And I think as well, when you start thinking about having children, you start thinking about being responsible for the health of some other being.
And does that affect fertility? Does it really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, well, they don't know what affects fertility.
Okay.
They don't know, really.
So.
But yeah, we struggled a little bit, and I think it's got a lot to do with it. So I quit drinking. Obviously, I didn't drink when I was pregnant at all. And I was lucky because I'd always been concerned about getting pregnant when I was in my heavy drinking days. I thought, oh God, when I get pregnant, I'm not going to be able to drink for 9 months. Am I going to manage that? How?
Yeah. I always think that.
How?
Like,
yeah.
If a woman's a drinker or a smoker, like, what do? You just hold out?
For me, I was lucky. It might have been because it was twins, but I just had a complete aversion for alcohol. If James came near me smelling of alcohol, I'd be like, and it was lucky. And I think it's obviously a natural sort of protection, self-protection. So I think that I was lucky. And then afterwards, now I drink a glass of wine and I'm a little bit. I've become my mother. I get a bit tiddly. I get drunk.
And you can notice it.
I get a bit flushed here, and I start saying silly things, embarrassing myself, and I know it's time to go to bed.
James is like, I think you've had enough.
And what's been the biggest adjustment for you? I mean, now you have twin daughters.
Yeah.
You're no longer in the matchmaker extraordinaire. You're a mother now. And I mean, has it been like a big shift for you?
It's a huge shift.
Your blogs are great, by the way. And what's your website?
Matchmaker Musings, www.matchmakermusings.com.
And it's kind of like you're watching yourself get a little bit older, a mother and all that, and you're watching the way you behave differently.
Yes.
You had a great blog about Valentine's Day. And how does it feel?
It's hard. I think it's hard being a woman getting older. It is hard. I think, but especially having children. I love it. I absolutely love being a mother, but having had a career before and then not now it's a bit of a blow to your self-confidence. It's on your identity more than anything. You think, well, before I was an entrepreneur, young independent woman, having a great time, loads of friends, and now I'm wrangling toddlers.
You're a writer.
Yeah, I am, I suppose, but I'm not. I don't really feel like I'm a writer until someone's actually bought my book, other than my mum.
Okay.
It's not for sale yet.
No. I mean, I sold quite a few preview copies, which is good. But I think that's a struggle for women. I think it's hard. It's something you want to do, and it is natural sort of change in your life. But I think that I found that quite hard. And also getting older. I don't like getting older. I want to look like I was 25 again forever.
It's interesting what you talk about with women. Like you said, you go from say 18 to like you said, an 18-year-old boy is just an idiot, but an 18-year-old girl is in Playboy, and so it's like this whole perceived value. And then as you wind around 30, like this perception and then procreation, and then it all changes quickly.
It all changes, but I think it's been. I mean, I think I care much less now. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I wouldn't actually really want to go back there because I really cared what people thought. I cared so much. I cared so much about how I looked. I cared so much about what I wore. I cared so much about what people thought of me. Whereas now, I don't really care. I'll be really happy when I get to the stage when I don't care at all, because I still care a little bit, but not anywhere near as much as I used to. And it's quite freeing. It's quite liberating. It's quite liberating to have no makeup on and your hair all greasy and tied up and you're wearing some big old puffer jacket and you've got your muddy dog and no one pays you the blindest bit of attention and you're just like just a normal person, not as like a sexual object, which you might be when you're younger. And I like that. I like that. So I think I could get used to that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion about like clubs, because I'm always fascinated with people that go out to clubs. And like I remember what a friend of mine once said, like for a girl, say 25, and a guy who's 25, what's a successful night for the guy? We're all going out as guys. What does a guy want to do? He wants to get laid. That's like the ultimate I won night. And it's like, well, what's the girl's ultimate I won night? And one time he said to me, you know what that is? Is that she was the center of attention. That's the ultimate I won night. Now, you might agree or disagree. I want to get your opinion on this. But also, I've noticed so many of my friends now, good-looking, successful people going to online dating. And especially, of course, I'm being biased, attractive women. Like, what are you doing going online? You could have anyone you want. And like, that's such a common misperception, I think, about women. But can you address both things? The club atmosphere, and then like, why is everyone going online these days?
Oh, the club atmosphere.
Am I incorrect in saying that those are the two goals of those two people?
It's interesting. I can't speak for men going clubbing, what they're looking for. I would question though, if they were out on their own, none of their friends were there to witness their filling, would they still want it so much?
Good question. So they want to be known as the guy that did that.
The guy that hooked up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he hooks up every night. That guy's crazy, right?
And the girls be the same. I mean, it's so sad, isn't it? But that's probably true. It probably is.
Is it?
It shouldn't be true, but I think,
Being desired.
It's nice. It's nice. I'm always saying it's not. It's nice, isn't it? We all think that's nice. Would you like to go into a club and be
the center of attention? I mean, I guess it'd be nice, but it wouldn't be my end all.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But maybe.
I don't think I've ever had that, and I don't think I certainly won't have that at all now. But I think, I imagine that would be. But then also the same. I don't think it would make girls feel very self-conscious. I don't think as confident as they come across, even very attractive girls. I think even the most beautiful girls that I've met and interviewed don't think that they are. So I think a lot of men particularly might think some really stunning women are aloof or up themselves, but they're not at all. All of the women I've met, we had models and very, very attractive girls that would sign up looking to use a dating service, and they I think the fact that they are noticed physically all the time makes them very aware of that and very concerned about that and self-conscious and a little bit insecure, because they think, well, what if I don't look perfect today, or what if I get spot? Am I not lovable anymore? So I think it's quite damaging to think that way.
And what's the misconception that like a model would ever go online to date? Like everyone thinks you're constantly bombarded with the greatest men in the world, but you've seen the reality. That's not the case.
No.
What even your own story? I mean, were you meeting the kind of men that were like, no, this is not cool? Like at the club, you're not going to meet your husband at a club anyways, or are you?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think so. I think some people do, but I don't think so. I think it's really hard for men to chat girls up, and I think it doesn't happen that often. It certainly doesn't happen very well. I don't think anyone really knows how to do a good job of that one in a club. Usually when you're in a club, you're a little bit, beyond being able to...
liquid courage.
Exactly, yeah.
Club game is tough.
But it happens. I mean, if you go to any nightclub, people have successfully pair bonded.
Yeah, it does happen. I was listening to a podcast recently. It was a guy named Eddie Bravo, who's been a guest on here a couple times, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy in LA. And he was saying these days, in the last 5 years, women have mobile phones and they have text game. So he's like, back in the day, girls would go to the club without the mobile phone, and like if they really wanted to meet someone, they'd have to do it at the club. But nowadays, come 1 a.m., they've got options. They're like texting, what are you doing? And there's that guy that's watching HBO that's like, yeah, I'm here. And like now they have options. So it's like, he's like, nobody's picking up into the clubs unless your game is airtight. Otherwise, there's other options. And like you said, not many people are very good at chatting up in clubs. And when you have other options, then it's not going to be. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's much easier. I mean, who wants an audience? I mean, I've always felt for men having to go chat girls up. I think I can't think it'd be a pleasurable experience at all. I mean, I don't know what you would think, but
it's tough, but it can be rewarding.
With an audience in a club, unless you are, a bit pissed and you're not that bothered. But I think if you get rejected publicly, I mean, your mates are going to not ever let you live it down, are they? And
No.
Feel it's just,
What's a simple piece of advice you would give to most men who are just dating in general? I mean, I hate to say it's probably like be yourself or something. But
no.
What are like the 2 or
It's
3
a
mistakes
cliche.
you see happen the most? Because you're in a rare place where you like saw the matches beforehand.
Yeah.
They went on the dates. You got the feedback. I mean, that's a lot of
Right.
information. So you could see what people did
the biggest
wrong.
mistake men make is feeling they've got to sell themselves to the girl and talk about themselves and, the peacock feathers.
Okay.
Or play games.
Okay.
But what they should do is be interested in the girl. Back to the girl wanting to be the centre of attention.
Okay. So
They've got to be cool and not needy and not desperate, but just be interested. Actually ask questions and be interested in her, because that was probably the biggest complaint I had from women, that he just talked about himself all night.
Or was needy and desperate.
Yeah.
Did you tell guys that before the date? Like, don't be needy, don't be desperate.
Yeah.
Would you give advice before?
If they ask for it.
Right.
Yeah, only if they asked. Some people do ask or did ask. Yeah.
You're dealing with some professional men at the top of some of their careers. They probably don't think they need advice when it comes to dating. Then again, they are meeting with you.
Yeah, they're meeting with you. They clearly know they need some kind of help, right?
Yeah, I think the main thing is more sort of deeper issues that I think most people, when they're professional and they've got a good job, they're quite socially adept. They don't really need that sort of advice on how to interact with another human being. They're normally quite good at that. It's just more about figuring out what they're looking for and why they're looking for those criteria, and maybe they could rethink it a little bit. I think that's more of the help that I could give people.
I find most men need advice. Even guys I know that are at the top of their game in some areas, when they get into the women game, like they just start tripping over themselves.
Really,
I'm like, you said what?
Oh yeah, there's a few
like, yeah,
clangers.
just like some basic stuff, like if you're going to have a date, have a plan and be like, meet me here, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And he's like, no, I'm just saying, what do you want to do? And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. I forgot about that one.
You.
That one is brilliant. That is.
If you want any more advice, send it.
Yeah, no, that is really good.
Londonreal.tv.
But then I think it's very difficult. I think again, men don't know what to do. We're supposed to be living in an equal society, yet women still would like men to take control. They like that.
But women have all the power.
I don't. Up until a certain age.
Okay.
But it turns.
Yeah.
But they do. They want man, like you said, just take control. Book something, organise something. Be a bit assertive in that way.
Okay.
But not too bossy.
On the same note, what's the biggest mistakes you see women making, and what's the advice you give to them, like before they had their dates?
Women don't make mistakes. What's
that? Oh yeah.
What mistakes do women make? I think there's the person they're selecting. I think there's a lot of women that have this interest in other people's boyfriends and partners or married men, or I think there's deep-rooted sort of issues there, I think, with not wanting to get too close to people. But there's a lot of women that feel like they've fallen in love with somebody else's partner.
Really?
Yes. So we have that quite a lot would happen.
Okay, and why is that? Just because they see all the great things and don't have to deal with the
Yeah,
everyday
I'm
drama?
not a psychologist.
Okay.
I don't know.
Safe, I guess. So he's not creepy. He's
never happened to me.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Probably
know.
good.
I think it's probably stopped them getting hurt because they know it's never going to be a real relationship. So yeah, maybe that has a lot to do with it. I don't know, but that's.
I would think women's expectations would be the hardest thing. I would guess that they'd be like, on paper, like you said, he's the IT guy or whatever, and not the 6'2" human rights lawyer. But then, he's. I hate to say this, he's really a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he can now offer you a lot, but he's not going to be the guy you brag about right away to your top 5 friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know with women, it's a bragging thing, I don't know. It's just a romantic sort of ideal. It's like a movie image running in their head, or the glossy brochure I was saying. It's sort of like imprinted on the brains of women. And it's the power of suggestion as well. The media is quite funny, because there was a time when, back to the human rights lawyer, women would come in and they pretty much uniform wanted the same thing. And it was Mark Darcy from Bridget Jones's Diary.
Okay.
And they wouldn't just describe him outright, but it would be, human rights lawyer.
Was that Hugh Grant, or was that the other guy?
That was Colin Firth.
Oh, Colin Firth. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. And the same with men as well. The power of suggestion was quite funny. So James, if my husband drives, we were driving in South Africa down a highway, and there was this sort of 20-foot picture of a steak, and like 30 seconds after we'd driven past it, he said, "I really fancy steak. I don't know why." Like, yeah.
Yeah, we're complicated like that.
Did you not see that billboard? And this is
just like some monkey.
But it's so funny. But it is that, and me and the other consultants, the girls, we used to laugh because the men would come in and have a consultation with the consultant, and they would describe the girl sitting opposite them who's doing the consultation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was hilarious. So one would be blonde, one of them was blonde, very sort of...
Yep, I like you.
Yeah, I like blondes, I like curvy blondes. Or the other one was a French girl with dark hair, dark skin. Yeah, I really like sort of, I like foreign girls. I like dark hair, dark eyes. And it was ridiculous.
That's
we
wild.
did this sort of
So we don't even know what we want. Yeah. We're just like...
Oh, actually,
or
no.
we don't care. Maybe it's just like...
Yeah, that's the best way to be, really. Not to have a specific type, to be open to...
That's kind of scary that we're that subject to these powers of persuasion or whatever's on our head at the same time. Do you get like certain actresses or whoever was the flavor of the moment too? Like,
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And sort of a shift from hair colour preference. So when Cheryl Cole sort of came over and wanted a brunette, and there was a Bond movie, I can't remember which one it was. It had tons of beautiful brunettes in it, and then the men wanted brunette. That was like 80% of men were asking for brunettes. And we just used to do those little informal sort of studies of the...
It's a lot of data, right? It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
To sort of look at that data and compare it to pop culture.
But it's like a fashion. Cool. I mean, if you look at any of the old fashions in the 70s, people thought crushed velvet flares looked great. I mean, we look at them now, I think they're ridiculous. But at some point, there was social conditioning to think they look great. And the same with anything. It's if you given enough images, and suddenly your brain starts thinking, that's good, like that, that's nice. And that's what happens when dating as well, I think, definitely.
And probably everything else. God,
Yeah.
That's really scary. Walk us through the next few weeks for you as far as like book launch. What will you be doing? What constitutes success in your mind?
Oh, gosh.
What's the day after like? I mean, like, oh, you know, and how do you organize this? I mean, you're promoting this yourself. You
Yeah.
know, like, you know, what do you do?
It's not that organised. I've got a bit of a random spreadsheet going on.
Yeah, you have a spreadsheet. So.
I have a
It's not on paper.
spreadsheet. Blogs, lots of blogs. So I've got quite a few blog reviewers, and I've got a bit of press coming out.
You have a lot of
radio
people that follow
interviews.
your blog,
Yes.
like 4,000 plus
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
And those are people that want to know what you write, that you write every week.
Yeah. So I've got quite a big blog following, which is good.
The blogosphere is important, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm told.
Yeah. I'm told that
We'll
too.
find out, I guess.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Oh yeah, and then just lots of interviews and events. I'm doing a launch party. I've got a big launch party on the 24th, which
Okay.
is good. And we've got some guest speakers talking around the topic of It's Got to Be Perfect. So it's we've got an Oxford University professor coming to talk about. He's been doing this amazing research into love drugs and synthesizing the hormones that cause us to fall in love,
Wow.
which is amazing. You've really got to get this guy on. He's unbelievable, and he's so they're talking about that and what causes us to think we found the one. And then I've got a sex expert talking about perfect sex and the sex we think we should be having versus the sex we're really having. So that's sort of,
Jesus.
idealism versus reality. So that's happening at the launch party. And so that's going to be good. We had to close the guest list. I sent the invitations out, and an hour later I had to close the guest list, which is great. So we've got 100 people on the waiting list. So hopefully I'll do an online. I think I'll do an online launch party as well, so people who can't come can watch it and live stream it. And yeah.
That's fantastic. And
That's
so
a
it's
good one.
ultimately you want to drive people to Amazon. Is that where you want them
Yes.
to buy your book?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
Amazon algorithms are really important, apparently.
okay, yeah, I've heard that. So they want to know how popular it is, how the reviews are going, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you just got to get visible on there. You've got one shot at getting visible, and if you're not, you're just going to sort of, fade into insignificance. If you get into the charts, you stay in the charts. As people buy because it's in the, top 100. They'll buy it because it's there rather than because they've heard about it.
Right. So ideally, lots of people go buy your book, leave the reviews, and get that critical mass going to
Yeah.
where more people can hear about it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think if people enjoy it, then it should do okay.
People know genuine. I think they do. I don't think you can trick people into
Yeah.
knowing something as long as they read it.
Yeah,
you know.
as long as they read it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get people to read. You've got such short attention spans. It's so hard to get people to read a whole book. I mean, it's a commitment. I mean, I've got tons of books that I want to read, and I just don't get around to it because
Yeah.
there's something else I need to do.
But once they do read, they're probably going to be a fan for a long time.
Yeah, I hope so. I've got all the sort of pre-release reviews. People have read it so far, love it, and so that's really promising. I'm pleased about that because you never know. It's quite daunting putting everything, all your sort of personal thoughts and feelings into something, and you hope people are going to like it, but putting it out there for judgment. Because I'm not a writer. It's not a literary masterpiece, but it's a fun story.
Yeah.
I listen to audiobooks all the time. Are you going to release audiobooks?
Yes, I'm looking into that. I haven't done that yet.
Because it sounds like it'd be a good audiobook.
I think
'cause
it
it's
would,
very
yeah.
much like a storytelling.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to do that.
Yeah, do the audio
Situation.
yourself.
Yes,
I hate,
that's
I hate it
what
when
it
the
is.
authors don't do it.
Yeah.
Although
Really?
I've told that certain authors are horrible. Apparently Stephen King can't
That's right.
read an audiobook to save his life.
Right.
But if it's really you, I think it really
Yeah.
brings some genuine.
Yeah, no, I'd love to do that.
And you have a trailer coming out, like a movie
Yeah,
trailer?
book trailer.
This
Yeah,
is the
that's
way it's
really
going.
good fun,
That's the new
actually.
everything.
Do you have one?
Video.
Well, you have a whole series
Yeah,
for your
we
book.
do.
But,
Yeah.
so you got like a minute trailer or something?
Yeah, it's good fun. I saw the first draft at the weekend, so that should be out sort of end of this week
Wow.
on YouTube. So that should be good fun.
Okay, that's really exciting. So all right, so the next couple months will be crazy, good, bad, and then you're back to who you are come December, and then you're going to see what happens. Ideally, publishers see you, people see you, and they're like, "Let's talk more." Or do you have a next step?
I don't. For the
Okay.
first time in my
That's good.
life, Brian, I don't
You're
have
on
a next
Oprah
step.
in March.
Yeah, that would be nice. No,
Never know.
I've lived my life with a 5-year plan
Yeah.
constantly. I think I came out of the womb with a 5-year plan,
Okay,
and I don't do that anymore.
good.
I don't. I'm just see where it goes and see what I mean, I've got 2 kids. I need to make some money for them.
I think
So I'm gonna have to try and do something, but I don't know what yet. But
you're kind of preaching to the choir here when it comes to that, because like when you sold your business and left Toronto, I mean, you were going to ride across China in a motorcycle. That's not a 5-year plan.
No.
So, I quit a steady income to see if people wanted to listen to me on iTunes. So that's not a plan by any means. So, but that can be really good because first of all, you're creating which is important, and you're exposing yourself to more people.
Yes.
And so like I think as long as you're doing that, then things will come your way. You know,
Yeah.
if you're locking your doors and watching TV,
Yeah.
that's not a good plan.
No.
But as long as you're out there and taking risks, which you
Yeah.
are, and exposing yourself, and you're going to get people who don't like what you do, and
Yes.
some people that do, and then, you know,
Yeah.
it's nice it can be cool living your life that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And creating
and-
things too, I think,
yeah,
is
I
cool,
think-
right? It's like if you're creating original things, sure, so a lot of them might be crap, but
it's
you know, you enjoy doing it, and hopefully something.
And if you could just
will
make a
do
couple
well.
of people laugh, that's what
Yeah,
I think. If I can,
sure.
or maybe make people think differently about the way they think about relationships and dating, just to question maybe their assumptions. And if I could do that, then that's pretty much what I wanted to do, wanted to achieve.
Yeah, because before, I mean, like when you were in finance, when I was in, we weren't really creating something. Okay, you're
No.
running a business, but we weren't really creating
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, when you were matchmaking, you were doing a really good job, and you probably were creating relationships.
Yes.
But that's different than what you're doing now.
Yes.
Which is making, I don't know, art. Is that what this is?
Yeah, but if,
Yeah,
if,
I think
if
you're
I
right.
can put into a book sort of the message that I was trying to tell everybody, then I can reach more people rather than just having a sort of one-to-one individual. Even though it's not a self-help book, I still think it will make people think differently about how they perceive relationships in a good
I'm
way.
excited about this, and I'm really impressed. Like I see you popping up, and you know, good housekeeping, and
Yeah.
like Grazia, and it's really cool that you're going after this and like really promoting it the way you are with your blog, and you're big on Twitter. And on Twitter, you're at Haley Hill now, right? There's a lot of Haley Hills out there.
I know, there's too many.
Jesus. Of course, there's like Brian Rose's. There's like 50 of them on
What's
Facebook.
going to happen in like 20 years? You're going to like name your child by the Twitter handle that's available. It's going to be like this
Never
reverse.
thought about
Sensible,
that.
I didn't think that one
Yeah,
through.
exactly. It's like, hold on, let's look at baby names. Hold on, run those through Twitter and see what's available.
I never thought about that. Yeah, it's trippy. There's a lot of you out there.
There are too many Haley Hills, and it's quite a silly name as well.
Yeah, it's quite a.
It's a little bit, you know, like a made-up name, isn't
Sounds
it?
like a Hollywood name.
Haley,
Little
yeah.
bit station.
Yeah. All right, Haley, we're going to hit you with the advice question, which
Okay.
we ask everyone here on London Real, and we've been asking people on Silicon Reel lately.
Yeah.
If you could make a phone call to the 20-year-old Haley, I don't know what the hell she was doing, what nonsense she was up to, and you could give her some advice, what would it be?
Blimey. God. That's a really good question. Really good question. I would probably say, firstly, I would say stop planning.
Okay. Stop with the 5-year plan.
Stop with the 5-year plan.
Really? Why?
Because I think I was just I think there was a guy you interviewed a little while ago, and I can't remember his name, and he said the good times are now. And I can't remember who it
remember who that
was,
is.
and
Wow.
it really resonated with me because he's right. Because I spent my life either looking back to the past thinking, what a great time I had, or planning for the future, for this fantastic time I'm going to have, and forgetting to just enjoy the now. That sounds really cliched. But I think, I look back to when I was 20 and I thought, I was having so much fun. I had so much freedom, and I was learning, and I should have, instead of seeing work or life as a way to get somewhere and to achieve something, I should have just seen it for what it was and just, you know, enjoyed it.
Been present.
Yes.
Okay. And would you give any different advice to that 28-year-old you or the 30-year-old you, which is right around the interesting time in the dating profile?
Crossover of power.
Yeah.
Get married now, quick!
Go.
You're never going to be better than you are today.
Lock and load. Well, you didn't do so bad. I know your husband, so, you know.
Yeah, he's cool. I did all right. But I do know now that if I got divorced, I couldn't remarry him again because he'd, you know.
Oh, it'd be too late.
Yeah.
You can't say that to him.
No, I know. I
That gives him
can't.
too
Now
much
he
power.
knows that already.
Yeah,
He knows
exactly.
that. He's holding that against me. No, no, I'm only joking.
It's interesting you say that because, you know, you do, like Colin said earlier, you know, when you meet that 35-year-old woman who's had the experience and has everything.
Yeah.
And one thing I do notice when you meet a woman in her late 30s, if she can still, you know, keep her self-confidence and her pride, and she hasn't gotten beaten down by the game that's told
Yes.
her in a weird way that she's not the same value.
Exactly.
It's a rare thing, and you meet these women, and sometimes they're your grandma or your aunt or you know, your uncle's new wife, and you're like, wow, what a powerful woman, kind of like an Audrey Hepburn when she
But
got
that's
older
exactly
type
it.
woman.
It's not the age. It's the way that I suppose the judgment of them in society, or the value you say, it's the way it affects them and it impacts them.
Yeah, it's whether they're really comfortable with themselves,
Yes.
and that they're centered, and then that's a really powerful thing when you see kind of like that late 30s woman,
Yeah.
you know, with those features, those kind of personality. Just back to the advice thing really quick. What's the best bit of advice you've ever received?
Oh God,
Yeah, these aren't easy.
that's really hard.
We got lots of time.
Mummy, take a deep breath. I was telling these guys.
That was told to you recently, right?
That was my 2-year-old daughter when I was getting angry. She told me 2 days ago, Mummy, take a deep breath. So I think that's pretty good. That was good advice.
What's the best and worst part of parenthood?
Oh, the best part. Just getting joy from seeing joy in another being, I think. Seeing your child laughing because they are so happy, and that it's unbelievable. It's not about you. It's not about you being happy. It's not about you enjoying something. It's about watching them enjoy it, and it's just more than anything. It's amazing. The worst part, blimey, patience. Having to have the patience. It's just.
Well, you got 2 twins as well.
It's just
How tough was the first year? That's what you always hear.
I've buried it somewhere back. I don't know. I can't. Don't make me get it back out of that file, never to be opened again.
Right. You're gonna have
lock and key.
Yeah, we survived.
We're gonna have you back for the PTSD episode.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard before. Like parents, first year, it's almost like it's not a
Trauma.
enjoyment. It's a survival.
It is.
You get through it, and then it's like it's amazing.
I mean, it's all an individual experience. Some mothers I know had an amazing experience and didn't find it stressful at all. I found it very hard, and my husband found it quite hard. And I think I would say about parenthood, you see the best in your partner, and you see the worst in your partner, and you see the best in yourself and the worst in yourself. I didn't learn so much about myself since I became a mother, and my limitations and my issues.
Take a deep breath now.
Take a deep breath.
And the last bit of the advice question is to the 20-year-old girl listening right now who looks at you and is like, I want to be an entrepreneur like her, or I want to publish a book like that.
Yep.
What advice do you give to them?
Go for it. Just go for it, and don't worry and don't plan. Just do it. You'll learn on the job. Just take a gamble, take a risk, and just keep your eye on the reason you're doing it. Don't do it for money. Do it for the purpose that you want to set it up. Like, so, stick with that. Absolutely stick with that. Because people will try and tell you, this is more profitable. You need to do this, and then you lose sight of the reason you're doing it. And just do it and just learn.
Good advice.
Yeah.
You've never been shy to give something a try, right? So
No.
that's very good advice. A lot of the same advice keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Be
it's
present,
definitely a common theme.
live in the moment, and enjoy the time you're at, and then go for it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to your book. I'm going to order a copy. Can I pre-order a copy on Amazon?
Can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
looking forward to it.
that's coming out the 24th. So check that out. They can buy it. Is it paperback, hardback? What does it start off with?
Paperback, no
Okay.
hardback,
Do you
just
have
paperback.
Kindle version?
Yeah, Kindle's coming out as well.
Okay, so they can get that as well.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And the website again is Matchmaker Musings?
Matchmakermusings.com.
Okay, and Twitter is at Haley Hill.
Haley Hill now.
Now.
Yeah. Haley Hill now. Yeah.
I can't wait, and they can potentially stream your launch party as well. Right?
Yes, they will. Yeah, on
On your
Facebook.
website?
That'll be on the Facebook
On
page.
Facebook.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and on my website as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds really cool. Thanks for coming. Thanks for writing that book.
Thanks for
I'm
having
very
me.
curious how it is. I think I know a few girls that want to read that.
Yeah.
It sounds like something. a girl.
Right up my wife's alley. I think.
Oh, brilliant.
She'll love it. She'll love
like
it. Yeah. She loves those. What's the one that the SNL girl wrote? She loves that one like crazy.
Oh, Bossy Pants.
Maybe.
Tiffany, Tina Fey.
Tina Fey.
Yeah, she's got big hands on the front.
Right.
It's like a man hand.
I've never read it.
I read that actually.
Did you?
Yeah,
good?
Yeah, it was
I don't
good.
read that many books, but yeah,
I haven't read it.
She's really funny, and she
Yeah.
writes. I don't know how she writes a book and films 30 Rock.
She's incredible. Yeah.
She multitasks a lot, and that's a funny show. But awesome. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
If you're listening to us and you want to see our lovely faces in our new format, and you can come to YouTube channel at London Real TV. We have single cameras, like a real grown-up TV show. And check us out there. We're on Twitter at London Real TV. All the usual stuff, Facebook. If you want to help us out in any way, whether it's Final Cut or booking guests or whatever, just send me an email at info@londonreal.tv. And that's it. We're going to keep chugging away. Check Colin out on Silicon Reel. And until then, it's about the journey. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Bye. This week on London Real, we have hostile environment filmmaker Stuart Kershaw.
As a single male with no dependents, I'm that guy who's cheap to insure to send to hostile locations, and I suppose the ocean is hostile, certainly where cameras are involved.
He set the world record for rowing the Indian Ocean in 57 days.
You know, it was life and death out there, absolutely no doubt about it. You know, our water maker failed after a week. We were hand pumping from an emergency desalinator. The boat we discovered had some holes in it, in the ballast tanks, which made us at risk of capsize. I don't know how much more of this we can take.
On Sunday, London Reel presents Stuart Kershaw, extreme filmmaker.
I don't take credit for us breaking that world record.